Hello, my name is Josh Beck. I'm a technology teacher in San Antonio, Texas. In this tutorial, we're going to work with a basic introduction to particle physics. We're going to create an animation where it looks like sand is being poured onto this cube and it's going to kind of roll down the sides of the cube. It's a pretty simple tutorial. If you're not familiar with particle physics, you should be able to pick it up pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 3D cursor above the cube, and up here at the top, I'm going to choose Add Mesh, and we're just going to add a basic icosphere. Okay, and I'll select the default. So now we've got a sphere and a cube. All right, and I'm going to take the cube and I'm just going to size it up just a little bit because I know I'll probably need that later. Okay, so when we're working with particles, we're going to select the sphere. In the Blender, particles have to come from something, and that object is called an emitter object. We always have to have an object that emits our particles, and that's what the sphere is going to do here. So we're going to select the sphere and we're going to tell it to start pushing out particles, and in order to do that we can hit F7, or we can come down to the object button down here, and if you come over, you've got a particle button that looks like this. Okay, and I'm going to click the particle button, and it gives us one panel here that says Particle System, and I'm going to choose Add New. Once again, I am using Blender 2.46. It looks a little bit different in 2.45, but the concepts are still the same. And by clicking Add New in Particle System, I just get a whole host of options. All right, so let's start down here where it says Basic. The amount is the amount of particles that will be emitted at any one time. Blender can handle a lot of particles at once, many. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make it 20,000 particles at once. STA represents the start frame, and we want it to start emitting particles at frame 1, and we're going to have it stop or end. We'll make it end the particle emission at frame 150. And the life is the life of each particle. So if a particle is born in frame 1, it will die in frame 50. In this case, let's go ahead and give each particle a life of 100. Okay, so we've got 20,000 at once, start animation 1, end animation 150, and every particle will have a lifespan of 100 frames. Okay, so let's come over here to the physics panel, and we're going to set a couple of different parameters here. The normal, okay, we're going to set to 2. Every face of every object has a normal. There's an inside face and an outside face. The normal is the outside face of the object, and we're going to have it move along the normal of the object, the velocity of 2. And right now I can hit Alt-A, all right, and you can see that particles are being pushed away from this object, all right, based on the parameters that we just set. Okay, so I'm going to hit Escape, and let's just set an element of randomization here. Now I'm going to, have it vary the velocity of the particles that are emitted, so that now when I hit Alt-A, some of them are moving faster, like this, and some of them are moving slower. Okay, so right now they're coming out in triangles, and they're being pushed away from the sphere in a, each basically depends on where the normal is as to which direction the particle is going for each face. So we're going to change that. We're going to simulate gravity. Down here where it says global effects, you can choose which direction the particles are sort of pulled in, okay? And we've got our green axis here. That's our y-axis. All right, so I'm going to come down here to where it says global effects. I'm going to say, okay, I want the particles to be pulled along the y-axis, and in this case, I'm going to give it a rate of -5. All right, and so by doing that, and you can do it in any direction you want, you can see now that the particles are pulled downward, all right, once they are pushed out from our sphere. We're getting closer to what we want, which is the illusion of sand. Okay, so I'm going to come over here where it says emit from, and right now the particles are being emitted from the faces, and you can see that because they're all emitted in nice little triangles. I'm going to choose random, and where it says faces, I'm going to go to volume because I want it to be emitted from the volume of the object instead of the faces. And let's see what happens if I hit Alt-A. Now it appears to be pouring these particles out in a nice even fashion, kind of like a shower. Okay, so I'm going to take this cube and I'm going to rotate it so that the point is pointing up towards our sphere. And you can see right now, I'm going to just size it up just a little bit. You can see right now that the particles are going through the cube. Okay, we're going to give the cube some properties so that it will interact with our particles. So I'm going to select the cube and I'm going to come down here. Instead of particle button, we don't want the cube to emit particles. We want the cube to have physics properties. So I'm going to select the physics button. This is Blender 2.46. It looks a little different in 2.45. And I'm going to go to the collision tab and I'm going to choose collision. And I'm going to give it friction of 1. Okay, that's 0.1. I'm going to give it a friction of, let's see if I can get it to, all right. We're going to bump that friction button up all the way to 1. All right, and we're going to give it damping of 7. All right, so now our cube is going to interact with those particles, and let's see what happens when I hit Alt-A. You can see now that the sand particles hit the cube and they pour off the side.